Hi everyone, welcome to our Roundtable discussion event today. This is a new series, each event focusing on a specific topic in the biotech or healthcare field. Today we're going to talk about AI-driven drug discovery, and we are very honored to have 4 industry experts or investors joining us to lead the discussion today. We have Alan Jiang, Board of Directors, CSO of xtalPi, Hongkai He, General Partner of Tahil Ventures, aka Skylight Investment Fund 1, and Michael Chen, co-founder and CEO of NeoX Biotech, and Ted Jing, Executive Director at 5Y Capital, formerly known as Morningside Venture Capital. So before we get started, I would like to briefly mention that that series is hosted by 2 student organizations, ACE Berkeley on the West Coast and MIT CU on the East Coast. So Charlene, co-president of ACE Berkeley, will give us a brief introduction to their student group.
Hey everyone, my name is Charlene and I'm a co-president of Association of Chinese Entrepreneurs, AC at Berkeley. AC at Berkeley was founded in 2012 and has become one of the largest Chinese entrepreneur communities in the San Francisco Bay Area. We've held 30 plus events this year and have supported more than 50 founders in our community. We also have more than 5,000 subscribers on WeChat.
Thank you, Charlene. So MIT CEO is a MIT student organization. We have been around for 3.5, 4 years now. And due to the pandemic this year, we have had 50 events online focusing on entrepreneurs and innovative trends in different industries. So to get the discussion started, I would like to ask the speakers to tell us a little bit about themselves and the implementations of AI in drug discovery in their companies.
Yeah, maybe I can go next. So my name is Hongkai. First of all, also thank you for the organizer, Wendy, Charlene, for inviting us to join the meeting. So first of all, I have to say we are not the experts in AI drug discoveries. So Tahil Venture, we are a deep tech fund focusing on disruptive technology that are solving long existing problems. So we have invested a lot of companies from MIT and Harvard and other top research labs from the US. So, and why we are so interested in AI drug discoveries, or I would rather call it like combining computations with drug discoveries or with biologies. So it's because like we deeply believe like this is like the methodology that most pharmaceutical in the next maybe 20 years they should adapt. Like that's what will significantly improve the efficiency and reduce the cost of this industry. And then for us, we are keep observing this these areas, and then we also already invested in the companies not directly in drug discovery, but using like algorithms to do molecule discovery. So which potentially could also be used in drug discoveries. For drug discoveries, we all know like the process is very long. It takes more than 12 years and then more than $1 billion to get a drug from the starting point to the end. We have like target identification, lead gen, optimization, preclinical, post-clinical, formal clinical, something like that. So every process is so long. So if we can reduce like just a little bit cost, like maybe 10%, 20%, or hopefully 50% of the time of the monetary cost, that would be very significant to the society. So that's why we are so interested in it. Yeah, thank you.
Sounds good. Mike, you want to go next?
I can go next. Yeah, so it's great to be back to MIT CEO event again virtually. And I remember 2 years ago, around 2 years ago, I participated in an event in Boston area when I went back to Boston at the very beginning of our startup founded. So our startup NeoX is a biotech company. We combine three things together in artificial intelligence and biophysics and high throughput experiments. We believe that's a next generation platform for the pharmaceuticals or drug design. And we focus on the micro molecule drugs and multi-specific drugs. I know some companies focus on small molecule drugs, but we believe the biologics and multi-specific drugs are the future. And also that's a niche market for us to kick off or to contribute. And in terms of AI, or when we talk about AI, actually what we think is we just explore space. What do I mean space? It means chemical space, sequence space, structure space, and even motion space. That's a great tool, a wonderful tool to explore that huge space. Before we have no chance, or it's hard for us to explore that huge space. For example, at our company, we develop antibody, okay, discovery. So for the antibody, you know, it's a huge space in terms of sequence of amino acids. So how can we explore that huge space by leveraging AI and fidget display technologies, or the synthetic biology. That's a key. When we explore that space, we need AI and biophysics to understand with understanding of that drugs or that molecules. So that's why we say we combine AI and biophysics. For example, if we want to understand the dynamics of that proteins, we need to combine AI and molecular dynamics to understand how they interact with each other in terms of protein-protein interaction. And also traditional, for example, for other traditional way, we have docking method to understand how small molecule or a large molecule to dock with each other. Right now we have AI tools, so it is possible to combine docking, traditional docking, and artificial intelligence together to have a faster docking to screen drugs. Yeah, that's how we do at NeoX too. And also another example is, for example, epitope prediction. We also do that in terms of AI to accelerate the epitope or prediction. Yeah, for sure. And right now there is a hot topic for AlphaFold, for sure. We also leverage the advanced technologies for AlphaFold algorithm to understand the structure of the proteins. That's the starting point for us to study drugs.
Thanks, Michael. And Ted?
Also, thanks for the invitation from MIT CEO and Berkeley Ace. I'm Ted. I'm from the 5Y Capital, formerly the Morningside Venture Capital. We changed our brand name in this October, but actually we have been doing the early stage investment in China for more than 12 years. We are one of the earliest venture capital firms to do the China investments. And our portfolios include the Ctrip, Xiaomi Xiaopeng vehicle, Kuaishou, and Musically, which is a former version of TikTok, and also SenseTime Technology, and many other unicorns. We have multi-billion US dollars under management. We are one of the most active investors in China primary market. And we set up this AI plus drug discovery sector in early 2018, also one of the first venture capital firms who has set up this sector as a formal sector of investment, because we believe the AI could enable the farmer into many ways. So we actually have a lot of applications to be innovated. So we have invested about 5 to 10 companies in this field. And also we are very happy to be the investors of Alan's xtalPi and Michael's NeoX, who just give a brief introduction of their companies. So I'm very glad to be here and to discuss about the following questions. Thanks.
Sounds good. So I'm just gonna throw the first question out there. Feel free to build on one of each other's answers. What do you think the challenges are to enable real AI-driven drug discovery? I understand this is quite an early phase. What kind of challenges you need to overcome in that sense?
I just jump in because in the past 5 years since the beginning, we set up this company. Again, the spin-off from MIT Department of Chemistry. It's a 3 quantum physicists. It's a very well established, and they think of the potential application of the machine learning, artificial intelligence, but also quantum physics, computational chemistry-based algorithm. Basically, it's a computational sort of a solution for the industry. And it's the very first industry they're looking for is the biopharmaceutical industry. And then so that's the things at the very beginning we have to consider seriously. What's the challenge, potential to bring the computational or bring the AI related algorithm into the process. And so the very first thing we consider, you have to understand the industry needs and also the industry mentality. In general, the farmer is a very slow adaptation for the new technology, and also depends. Sometimes it's very it's relative compared to a very fast-moving culture in computer science, for example. But also philosophically, fundamentally, this industry is an evidence-based biological experiment. And so the verse, like we're talking about machine learning, artificial intelligence, in many cases is a black box. And so you will see the challenge when you try to have a new way of doing things and try to integrate into the industry. So there we have to think of that. And also the related to the data. By nature, the pharma industry in many cases is very silos, not only from organization perspective, but also the data integration perspective. So it's a pretty challenge. And so we have to think of the most important part is that the evidence-based biological experiment versus the black box world of machine learning, artificial intelligence. And so we have to have found a way which can convince the industry, which is first identify the need or the problem. It's really have an impact in the process of R&D. And so must be in one way or the other can be validated. So that's why actually the company start with a solid state with the crystal structure prediction. So that's a tremendously build up the infrastructure incorporate, which I just mentioned in the brief introduction, the 3 major technical components in the process. And so that after this was validated and implemented into industry and very well received, we realized, but also our partner realized, the very similar infrastructure or expertise can apply for drug design and discovery. And so that's why we naturally moved to that direction as well, or expanded to that direction. So that's related to the challenge. I think it's a very important thing. related to the bring the AI expertise into the industry, predominant by sort of validation, but also identify the right question.
So what I see is a challenge for the AI in drug discovery is first thing I think is the high-level design. What I mean high-level design means the platform. We need to build, as I mentioned, we need to build a next generation platform for the drug research. And we need a new methodology or even ideology to as an AI-driven method. So what in our company we focus design extremely. We think design is extremely important. For the simple thing is just a design drugs for sure, but the most important thing is design the new platform. Okay, that platform need AI need AI methodology or ideology. So for so based on that, we need first like data, as Alan has mentioned. Yeah, data is very important for sure, and we need to incorporate or leverage high throughput requirements to accumulate data. That's what we think is very important. That's what we do to conquer that challenge of the limitation of the data. And second thing is sometimes AI have no guidance. For sure, there is supervised, unsupervised learning, but still we need some first principle to incorporate. And that's why we we care about the biophysics, and that's also our team's background, to be honest. So we know the power, we understand the power of AI, but still we need some first principle to combine together. That's how that's what we think for the design of the platform. And second thing to implement AI is when some VC or when we do fundraising, they always ask us, okay, how much percent of the AI in your platform or at this stage? And to be honest, for sure, we use a lot of traditional biophysics tools, but that doesn't mean that's a future. Okay, the percentage will shift. For example, as I mentioned, AlphaFold, the prediction. Before we use many other teams for that CASP computation or assessment. They use very traditional ways to do protein folding problems. But when AI company like Google, yeah, they jump in. Yeah, they just do a really great job. Or it's a disruptive thing. So that's how we see in future. Maybe there is turning point for even in our own platform. Their turning point, the percentage will shift to like 80% of AI and only 20% of computation.
Yeah, maybe I can add on a little bit. So I think Alan and Michael gave a very detailed discussion from the company's perspective. So I would like to share a little bit like from as an investors, what we found very difficult, like from our side to understand. So like Alan said, this is a new methodology to the industry, and pharma industry is relatively conservative. So from our side, what we see the challenges, I can break it down to from the internally. We want to ask how the company would like to benchmark their algorithms with what. Like for example, we can benchmark our AI algorithms with, for example, some first principle simulations or computation, or do you want to benchmark with like some in vitro results, or we want to benchmark it with like some outcomes coming out from traditional ways. Yeah, because the process is very long. Ultimately, the end goal is that we want to improve the success rate of a molecule or a drug, like going through the whole process and going on to the markets. But then also because the process is very long, it's probably not, it's probably very hard for us to have such a long feedback loop for the algorithms or for the AI, so that we just cannot wait to the end game, like to see whether this is actually work or not. So internally, we need to how to find a benchmark, and then externally, like Ellen said, how do you prove to your potential partners, development partners, or customers that your methodology works better than others? Because like when we are looking at special, like in terms of algorithm developments or AI, so everybody like have like a great team of scientists and engineers. How can we tell like this methodology is better than other methodology in what way? Why is that? So this is all like when we are looking at those. So yeah, I would let Ted to add more.
Okay, I think the three speakers have covered most of the challenges. So first, because we for the AI drug discovery companies, we have to build up a brand new platform. We are using a totally different ways from traditional drug discovery methods. So the technology basis is pretty important, and it involves a lot of interdisciplinary know-hows. So it's also a challenge for the managing team. For CEO, we have to merge two major teams from two different industries, from the healthcare, from the traditional pharma industry, and the IT engineers. So this could be a tough problem because in their past experience, they have different thinking models. So to make the questions simple enough to each of the team to understand and to solve them independently, and to merge these things together is challenges for the management team. And another thing for the investors or to raising money is also another challenge, because for these AI drug discovery companies, like the former speakers mentioned, that they have to invest a lot into their platforms. They have to build up a platform to generate new drugs. This platform could continuously generate assets in the future, so it has a very large upside. But due to it really needs time to generate the assets and to push them into the clinical stages. So in the early stage, these companies usually will generate revenues a little bit slower compared to the startups in other industries, like the enterprise and the consumer, the TMT consumer industries. So another challenge is to convince the investors to invest as with no revenues, but we have to raise a lot of money to build up the platforms. Because for the traditional healthcare investors, they usually have to check the performance of the assets, or even some of the investors only invest companies who has assets already in the clinical stages. So raising money is also a challenge, and it needs the education from the early investors and the CEOs from these companies. Thanks.
Great, Ted. So I want to build on Ted's question a little bit. So curious about the business model of a successful AI driven drug discovery company would be like. Is it through a contract payment method, or a a completely independent drug predicting company. This problem is probably going to cater more to Alan and Michael. So if you guys can give a little insight, that'd be great.
Yeah, it's a very interesting question. So, of course, during the course of our fundraising, and now we are in the Series C, and TED is a company, used to be called Morningside Venture Capital, is one of the lead investors for our sixth round. The other include SoftBank and PICC co-lead sixth round of investment. The question is always in the process of fundraising. So what we consider, again, that everything is related to industry need. We are provide technology platform, but in addition to build up a platform, but you have to solve a particular a problem which is considered solve that problem, have an impact in the industry. So that's always in our mind, because you build a company, you're not a research organization. So we make that very clear. And as for the business model, and so for a startup, it doesn't matter. We consider it a technology company. And so it's very critical in the couple of first 1 to 3 years, the primary goal is to survive or recognition by the industry. And so without that, there's a sort of very hard to become a sustainable, totally count on the investment, and because you certain step you need to be accepted by the industry, and the industry again appreciate by in the way which you're willing to pay or forge some kind of a partnership. And so that's always in the whole process is always in our mind. We would consider it as a company, as a technology company. We have to have some impact. So again, and so the very first one we identify is a solid state. As the name implies, xtalPi actually is a crystal pi. And so we do the crystal prediction. But this is not AlphaFold for protein crystal structure prediction. It's for small molecule. And so that can be readily validated by experiment data. And so it doesn't matter you claim your technology is so advanced, whatever. Doesn't matter. The experiment can readily validate. So that's the very first validation, but also the whole industry willing to pay for it. So from that perspective, we consider the company can survive. But during the process is not only solve a particular problem, actually, the whole process built up as the infrastructure or the platform have a continuity to continue to support not only this particular solid state area, but also because the fundamental principle is applicable for the other area, for example, drug design. And so naturally, we extended. Again, even that area, actually it was initiated or encouraged by the industry partner, one of the biggest pharmaceutical in the world. And so, well, you can do this, you can do that too, because that one considered even easier. So that's how we gradually build up a very extensive technology platform cover from design and up to solid state design. So those are the undermined linkage why we do this sort of a stepwise, but also strategically. You have to convince the industry you can bring the computational value in the chain. Besides, I hesitate to say that machine learning artificial intelligence alone, we generally consider it as a computational way to solve the industry problem. The reason is there are some restraints. We talk about the data. So if you look at the data per se, the whole industry value chain is not evenly distributed. In certain area, very rich in data and high quality data, but also have a a platform, sort of a throughput level, is continue generate the data. To the level people cannot handle, you have to certain kind of particular discipline to handle that. For example, bioinformatics, cheminformatics. So that means in that particular area, I just mentioned 2 examples, probably is a good start. So that's why what we do is we very much working from the cheminformatics, that kind of space. And so that's why, but some other area, the data is not comparable, like a bioinformatic type of data, but also cheminformatic data. It's not that scale, but also the quality also very questionable. And so that's why it's we so identify particular industry question or needs. At least for us, it's very important. As for the business model, it's very open. So we have kind of a consultation service model, but also we have a joint program. Also, we have a sort of a spin-off, a particular project-oriented the business model. So that's pretty flexible. But in essence, everything we talk about is the really industry need. It's not technology for technology, it's for the industry.
Okay, so I will follow with Alan. And as Alan mentioned, yeah, I totally agree. So no matter what type of technologies, we need to see the market need or industry need first. And based on that need, and we develop our platform and even some other pipeline. Yeah. And okay, back to the AI-based company or platform-based company. I see 2 business models in this market. One is a service-based, what I say. The other one is pipeline-based. Yeah, so what we do is right now we focus on pipeline-based. We don't provide service. Yeah, many companies contact us to say, yeah, seems you can do AI and calculation. Yeah, can you do some calculation for us and we pay for you? No. We only do collaboration and wholly own the pipeline. That's what we do. And here the market need is undruggable targets, as I mentioned. We leverage we develop new modality drugs and to meet the unmet need of undruggable targets. That's a huge market in this field. And we believe the new platform can tackle the problem of undruggable targets. And by leveraging the emerging modality like PROTAC, that's one of our focus. That's a small molecule targeted protein degrader. And we use computation and high throughput requirements to tackle the PROTAC design. We do see the interest from big pharma. As I mentioned, although we develop our own pipeline and also seek collaboration, and we talk with the big farmers very often, actually. Some of biopharma, we do receive some research funding from pharmaceutical companies for us to work on the platform and pipeline. And because big pharma care about they would like to see the animal study or even PCC at the end. So that's a challenge for us. That's why we do fundraising at the very beginning, and then to make hopefully we can make a great deal with big pharma on some specific pipeline, and that's our business model, and that's what we are doing right now.
Sounds good. I guess before we go into breakout rooms and do more Q&As with the attendees, could each of the speakers give us like a future? How do you envision AI in drug discovery in perhaps 10 years? And another question is, how many years do you think we can actually use that in like a huge scale, like all the big pharmas using it? Because right now it's only the startups are doing it, selective companies are doing it. How long do you think that will take us?
Yeah, it's really my personal opinion. I think probably in 10 years, people not even talk about the AI drug discovery because it's an indispensable or integral part of the process. It's embedded in the process. It's become a more mature like current, every single farmer have their own workflow. We're talking about the drug design. They all, if you look at the parts or the tools, they all have a variety of different combination and know-how, but particular set of tool actually pretty common. Everybody use that. It depends on how the operator integrate into their own, generated their own workflow. So that's what I mean. It means it's getting more and more mature, and not even people realize that like the current tobacco robot, that kind of things, and already the AI algorithm is behind all the application in the daily activities, and so that's what I mean. It's not just not working, but I think it's probably become more mature.
And not only the startup, actually, even big pharma, they have small, medium team of computation or AI researchers. What I can say that because we talked with them, yeah, when they evaluate us, they ask their R&D team to talk with us, and we do see, oh, you have AI people in your team, and but why they still would like to invest or outsource their research to startups, because we can do for sure. We use a new foundation or for them, it's hard to build an integrated platform, a brand new integrated platform, because that means they have destroyed some old traditional methods or the methodology. So that's why they also talk with startups. And what we believe in future, who can build the very sophisticated and a very powerful platform, not just AI, but also included some data generator, as I mentioned, high throughput requirements, and also some other tools together to solve the unmet need. Like I mentioned, undruggable targets. That company will be the king, or will be very powerful. And what I can see for sure, there's some demo startups in the US and Europe right now. In China, it's coming. So I believe in 3 to 5 years for sure, people will be used to the computation based drug discovery company.
Yeah, I agree with like both visions, especially like Alan's. I actually personally I share the same vision. It's just like today we won't call a pharmaceutical or a drug discovery company like a high throughput drug discovery companies, because we imply like every company use this methodology, because otherwise their cost structure and their time frame won't be competitive in modern world. So after 10 years, probably that would be the situation. Everybody need to use computation, artificial intelligence as the, well, like Chinese people like to say, the new infrastructure in the industry. So and then it is just like right now when we are looking at internet companies, we won't even mention like, oh, they are using database, or they are like using some kind of machine learning algorithms. It's all implied in the industry. So and people will well understand it. And then I even like be more optimistic, is that I hope that after 10 years, the time periods and the time and the costs can significantly go down, like in pharma industries, and hopefully the pricing strategies and even the whole development strategy could change, because of like we have this new infrastructure to speed it up significantly.
Yeah, I'm also gonna add. We actually have a large vision for this AI drug discovery company. Maybe a kind of crazy, but we are betting on that. There's a buzzword called economy of scale. This is a very important thing that we focus on our early stage investment. Actually, we can tell the leading pharma currently are already super big, like Pfizer and Novartis are about 200 billion market cap. But have we ever think that why are they so big? My answer is they have enough economy of scale in the drug development process and the market access and also the sales. Because in the drug development process, the key stakeholders are the clinical sites and CROs and the FDA. So even this large pharma has different pipelines, but they can share know-hows in and share their connections with these stakeholders, and there are a lot of shared know-how on how to move fast, make this pipeline go to the market quickly, and they can also share their sales network, e-marketing network across different pipelines internally. But even though this pharma doesn't have any economy of scale in the drug discovery part at the beginning, because we can see that even for Pfizer and Novartis, these large companies, they are buying pipelines, they are acquiring pipelines, they are doing a lot of co-development with early stage startups, and they buy pipelines from externally. So for this drug discovery process, they don't have economy of scale, they're just buying. They're using their economy of scale from the development and the sales part to buy the early pipelines. But if we imagine the future or the next generation farmer in the future 10 years or even 20 years, I think with our now AI or IT driven biotech platforms, the next generation farmer will not only have economy of scale on the development and the marketing and sales, they will also have very strong economy of scale in the drug discovery process, because the platform could learn from the past success or failures to make the platform more solid, and we can generate pipelines more fast and more accurate with time going on. So the future, I think the next generation pharma will be potentially even larger than Pfizer and Novartis are these days. So we think maybe in 10 years or 20 years, the next generation pharma, the leading ones, could be worth $200 billion or even bigger. So that's our vision for the AI drug discovery companies.
Sounds good. Seems like a lot to expect in the next 10 years. So now we're going to break out into breakout rooms so attendees can ask questions directly to our speakers. So if Mindy can open up the breakout room, you should be able to see the choices. And then the speakers will be divided into 2 rooms as well.
We would like to sincerely thank our 4 guest speakers today and everyone joining our discussion tonight. Thank you so much for coming, and please look forward to our next discussion in probably January. And AC Berkeley will be responsible for hosting that session. And we'll have more information available closer to the date. Thank you. Have a great night.
Bye.